Hey guys, welcome back in. Trying something new again. I wanted to take advantage of the natural light in my house and just kind of have a little bit of a chit chat. Really. Like nothing fancy, nothing special, nothing super planned or super scripted. Just you, me, and God talking, you know? And I kind of prayed on it. I was like, okay, God, you want me to do something beyond just reading the Bible with people. Not that I don't enjoy reading the Bible with you guys, but let's do a little bit more. Let's have these conversations. I mean, my tagline is getting to know God one conversation at a time. So let's start having these conversations. And I asked him, I was like, okay, what do we want to talk about? What's going to be the topic of conversation today? And something that kept coming up in my day-to-day, seeing people asking for advice or needing advice, and this particular topic, like I said, just kept coming up. So I think it's what I'm supposed to talk about. And that is when you're in a situation where you find yourself looking at a deadline or approaching a deadline, or as some business people like to say, you're running out of runway, the plane's still going, but you haven't lifted off yet kind of scenario. And you're like, okay, God, I know you can do this. I know you promised you would do this, but I don't see it coming to fruition. I don't see how you're going to make this happen. I don't see it. You promised, but I don't see it. So here's another way to kind of look at it. God doesn't work in deadlines. God doesn't work with, this is how it's going to be. We're going to fit in this box. He doesn't work with deadlines. God is the author of life. Jesus came to pay the ransom for us and to conquer death. So God doesn't work with deadlines. God works with lifelines. So if you're in a situation where you don't see how God is going to just make it happen like he promised he would, you don't see how things are going to come together, and you really don't understand how the plan's going to plan, but you trust him to make it happen because he promised that this would come to fruition. He promised that this is what's going to happen. Then ask him, instead of, how are we going to meet this deadline? God, where are you going to throw me a lifeline? Because he definitely works with lifelines. Look at Peter walking on the water during the storm in Matthew 14. He says, God, if it's you, tell me to come out. And he's like, yo, it's me. Let's go. So Peter walked on the waves with him, but he turned his attention from Jesus and what he needed to be focusing on to the chaos around him. He was in the middle of a storm. The waves were crashing. The thunder was rolling. Lightning was flashing. And he got overwhelmed, and he got anxious, and he got scared because of what he was in, not where he needed to be focused. And he starts to sink, and he cries out for Jesus, like, Lord, save me. And Jesus grabs him and saves him and brings him back to the boat. And instead of Jesus saying, oh my God, you're such a failure, why couldn't you just focus on me? Like, you do not need to be focusing on all this. Like, what is wrong with you? He simply said, oh, you of little faith, why did you doubt? So don't let the doubts overcome you. Don't let that emotion control the situation. I'm not going to say, oh, don't feel anxiety, don't feel fear, blah, 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 because that's really hard to overcome sometimes. And it could be spiritual. It could totally be a spiritual attack, but it also could just be your neurochemistry, the way your body and your brain are designed to function. It really could just be that. So if you're finding yourself overwhelmed, if you're finding yourself in that position of, I don't really know what's going to happen, I don't know how this is going to come to fruition, but God promised it would, then focus your attention back on God. Ask him, where could you throw me a lifeline? And if you start thinking of things that sound absolutely crazy, like, oh my gosh, that's insane, I don't know how that's going to happen, just write it down and be like, God, is this what you're going to do? Or is that what you're going to do? Like, here's the ways that I can see you throwing me a lifeline. And I trust that you will throw me a lifeline, and that you will protect me from this storm, and you will walk through me through this storm. Because at the end of that situation in Matthew 14, it's not just Jesus brings them back to the boat and they continue to ride it out in a storm. No, he calms the storm. The chaos ceases. In that instance, use that story and put yourself in Peter's shoes. How can God bring you back up out of this storm, back on top of the water, bring you to the boat and calm the seas so that you can get where you're going? I have found myself to be in a very similar situation. I am at that last few feet of transition, I can feel it, that I am about to make a major breakthrough. And I know God can do the impossible. I know God can bring anything to fruition that he wants to bring to fruition. He can solve any problem any way that he wants to with anything and anyone. So I'm not going to try to put him in a box and say, oh, well, I can only see it happening this way. It's not going to happen any other way. No, like, God, how are you going to throw me a lifeline? How are you going to make this plane take off with absolutely no more room on the runway? How are you going to get it to pick up and fly? Where's this breakthrough going to come from? You know, like, ask him, talk to him, be like, I trust you. I know you're going to bring it to fruition. I want to make sure that I see that lifeline when you throw it so that I can hang on, so that I can grab it, so that I'm paying attention to what you need me to be paying attention to and doing the things you need me to be doing in this instance. And, you know, another way that my dad likes to say it is, you can go from one doorway to another. You know, God's going to open a door after he closes another. But in between, there's going to be hell in the hallway. And don't get distracted by the hell in the hallway. Don't get distracted by, you know, oh, here's another obstacle. Here's another financial burden. I haven't figured out where I'm going to stay. I haven't figured out how I'm going to make this space work. In a transitional period my husband and I went through a few years ago, we moved out of state. I'm from Louisiana and I moved to Texas. I moved first because my job, I accepted a promotion that required pretty immediate relocation, and he didn't have a transfer. He didn't have an option to move with his job, and he didn't want to find a new job. He had several years already committed to his career. So we weren't sure how it was going to work. And it took 18 months for him to finally actually get a position where he could move and be with me, because he had to stay behind at our old place. It was a struggle. Financially, it was a struggle. Mentally, it was a struggle. Like, maritally, like, we were apart. It was difficult. And I thank God that we started our relationship as a long distance relationship. So we had that experience to kind of help see us through it. But eventually, when he did find the position, it wasn't anything he thought he was going to be looking for. He actually got a promotion. So better position, better pay. It was great. And we're in a similar season, not looking for new work per se, but just looking to see what's the next step in God's plan for us. And it's difficult because I am no longer traditionally employed. I like to say that I'm gainfully unemployed. I wrote my prayer journal, which there will be a link down below for you to investigate. It is available in paper and digital. If you so choose to go the digital route, it's $5. That's it, just $5. If you go the paper route, it is a little bit more expensive because it has to be printed, it has to be shipped. The publishing company has to take their commission off the top, and it costs something. So the bare minimum price would have to be a specific amount. And then there's a little bit on top so that I make a little bit of money. I don't make much on these journals, you guys. Like, I don't want people coming at me like, oh, you shouldn't charge things. You shouldn't charge a price for things that God had you create. He set the price. So if you want to argue that point, you can argue with him. I asked him, how much should I sell this for? Should I make money? Should I just sell it at cost so people can get it as affordably as possible? And the answer was, no, this is the price. And I was like, okay, gonna go with it. It's reasonable. Like, the journal itself is $15 plus tax and shipping. Now, there are some more affordable shipping options. There are more expensive shipping options. And when you do check out at the publisher, because it's lulu.com/shop, and then you just search my journal. Again, I'm going to have it all linked down below for you. They have coupon codes all the time. Guys, find a coupon code. Please, use a coupon. I'm all about getting a good deal and saving some money. I'm not going to be mad if you use a coupon to order my journal. As a matter of fact, if you follow me on Facebook, I try to post the coupon codes when they're, like, when I know about them and I know that it's going to work for a certain amount of time, I try to post it on Facebook. I'll try to get better about posting it on here in the little post options. But our next step, like, what am I going to be doing with my channel? What's the next things I'm going to be doing with my channel? And I'm definitely in a season of where I have an opportunity to be completely overwhelmed by the chaos around me. The storm is raging, my feet are on the waves, and I definitely have the opportunity to lose focus and to doubt. But I'm not going to. Like, I choose not to, and it is an everyday active choice. It is not just something that I wake up and it's like, oh, so easy peasy. No, dude, there are things that get in my way in our budget, in our life. Like I said in my previous video, I just had to put my cat down. Like, that sucked. But I'm not going to let it distract me from what God has planned for me. And I'm not going to let it distract from just how absolutely wonderful this next season is going to be. And I'm so excited for it. I'm excited to get to share it with you guys. So, yeah, don't try to see how God's going to solve a deadline or solve a problem by a deadline. See how God is going to throw you a lifeline, because he doesn't do deadlines, but he does do lifelines. If you're in a position like that, just sit down, take a few calming breaths, and try to clear your mind and invite Jesus in to help you be calm and at peace with what's going on. Ask him to help you be okay in the storm. Keep your eyes on him, keep your focus on him, because that's the whole point. And ask him, okay, this is crazy. I don't see it, but I trust that you will solve the problem, that you will get me out of this, because you said you will be with me for all eternity. So how is God going to drop you a lifeline? And comment down below if you're comfortable sharing how God has gotten you out of crazy situations where you were just not sure how the problem was going to be solved. Ask, or rather share any time that you definitely saw God move and solve a problem for you because it wasn't you. I'd love to hear your stories. Absolutely would. And of course, in the meantime, you guys stay blessed, stay bold, and I will see you in the next one. And if you made it this far, comment your favorite emoji, as long as it's not ridiculously inappropriate. I don't think any of the emojis are ridiculously inappropriate at this point in time. But comment your favorite emoji, and what do you guys think we should talk about next? Because we're starting Mark in the next video. Since we just finished up Matthew, we're starting Mark. But what do you guys want to talk about next? Thanks.